Forces enforcing the blockade in the Strait of Hormuz have attacked and seized an Iranian-flagged cargo ship.
Shot down 3 land attack cruise missiles and several drones that were launched by Houthi forces in Yemen.
Overnight, oil prices on the rise as the U.S. Navy prepares to impose a blockade in the critical Strait of Hormuz.
3:18 local, Gulf of Oman. T-minus 7 minutes until the window closes. 1 Iranian cargo ship, 42 Marines in the crosshairs. Every second counts. In less time than it takes to heat coffee on a midwatch, a routine traffic picture is about to become a calculated demonstration of modern naval power. The sea looks almost harmless at first. Black water, scattered merchant lights, a humid wind pushing salt across steel decks. To the north, Iran's coastline is only a dark shape. To the west, the Strait of Hormuz waits like a choke point the entire world depends on, a narrow maritime funnel through which a huge share of global energy moves every single day. And right here, just outside the densest traffic lanes, an Iranian-flagged general cargo vessel called MV Touska is making 14 knots on a steady heading. Her AIS broadcasting a boring story about industrial equipment and spare parts. But nothing about this ship is boring. Imagine you're here on the flight deck of USS Tripoli, an America-class amphibious assault ship cutting through the night with her lights tight and her crew already at battle stations. Red lamps, jet exhaust hanging low, Marines checking carbines one last time. 42 of them in total, a reinforced maritime raid element split between 2 MH-60S Seahawk helicopters and 2 rigid-hull inflatable boats waiting in the well-rehearsed dark. Off Tripoli's flank, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, USS Rafael Peralta, is holding the outer screen. Aegis awake, spy radar searching, Mark 38 25mm mounts already manned. Further back, an F-35B combat air patrol is orbiting high overhead, invisible to the ship below. But very much there. The stakes are bigger than one freighter. In this hypothetical, U.S. Fifth Fleet Intelligence has spent 19 hours tracking Touska from the moment she slipped out of Bandar Abbas under commercial cover. Satellite passes saw unusual container loading. A P-8 Poseidon later captured deck imagery that didn't match the manifest. Heat signatures suggested powered electronics inside crates that were supposed to be machine tools. Then came the intercept that changed everything. Coded traffic between a Quds Force facilitator ashore and a sat phone aboard the ship, instructing the captain to maintain course until contact with a proxy logistics network farther west. That means this is not just a smuggling run. According to the fused intelligence picture, Touska is carrying 48 anti-ship missile guidance sections, and 112 drone engines, encrypted communications pallets, and precision components meant to keep partner militias supplied for months. If that cargo disappears into the region, it does not stay on a dock. It becomes weapons in the Red Sea. It becomes missiles pointed at tankers. It becomes insurance rates exploding, shipping rerouted, and another layer of instability across a region already stretched to the limit. So why would Tehran's planners risk it? Because their calculation is cold and simple. Hide lethal cargo inside a civilian hull, move at night, use a real shipping route, wrap the whole operation in deniability, force Washington to choose between action and escalation. If the Americans hesitate, the cargo gets through. If they act too late, the ship slips into a more crowded lane near Hormuz, where boarding becomes vastly more dangerous. If they act too aggressively, Tehran gets propaganda, outrage, and a ready-made narrative about civilian targeting. From their perspective, it is a chess match, not a sprint. And that's where their confidence starts to become a strategic miscalculation. What they didn't account for was how complete the U.S. picture already is. Not just one radar return, not just one satellite image, an integrated mosaic, national overhead surveillance, signals intercepts, P-8 tracking, tactical data links, electronic support measures, boarding rehearsals loaded into tablets before midnight. While the men aboard Touska believe they are still blending into maritime clutter, the Americans already know which containers matter, which hatches lead to engineering, and which members of the crew are probably not crew at all. There's another problem with their plan. In 7 minutes, Touska will reach the edge of a heavy merchant traffic merge where towering civilian hulls, narrow maneuvering room, and multiple national vessels will turn a clean intercept into chaos. The window is right now. Clear water, positive identification, international passage. After that, every decision gets harder, slower, and politically messier. Could you make that call with global shipping lanes on one side and a possible weapons pipeline on the other? Tripoli's answer comes fast. The order is given. On the destroyer, Rafael Peralta shifts position to starboard and slightly ahead, placing herself between the cargo ship and the Iranian coast. Her bridge team calculates angles. Fire control tracks new surface contacts lifting off the shoreline. On Tripoli, the deck crew snaps into motion. Rotor blades begin to hammer the night. The first Seahawk rises in a storm of spray and deck wash, then the second, both loaded heavy with Marines wearing night vision, breaching charges, flex cuffs, bolt cutters, and enough ammunition for a very short, very violent negotiation. Below them, the RHIB teams launch hard, bows slamming down into black water as coxswains drive for the cargo ship's stern quarter. U.S. forces issue the first hails. MV Touska, this is coalition warship. Reduce speed. Prepare to be boarded. No response. A second hail, same result. Then Touska does exactly what guilty ships do. Her engine note deepens. Speed rises from 14 knots to 16. Her rudder nudges 5 degrees. Deck lights go dark. 3 figures appear on the bridge wing. Another 2 move near the aft crane. The merchant disguise is over, and suddenly the whole battle space starts waking up. From the north, 8 fast inshore attack craft break loose from the Iranian coast, their wakes glowing white under infrared. Small, fast, difficult to classify at range, but moving too directly to be fishing traffic. At the same time, a low-flying drone pops onto the air picture, then another, coming in from the direction of Jask. Not high-end aircraft, not meant to win a dogfight, just enough to spot, relay, distract, maybe even attack if they get close enough. Now you're in the lead helicopter, 30 seconds out, harness tight, weapon between your knees, headset alive with clipped voices, fast boats inbound, drone track north-northeast, boarding green, repeat. Boarding green, heart pounding. This is real. The first layer of the response is not bullets, it's control. Rafael Peralta's Aegis suite feeds a clean track picture across the network. Electronic warfare operators begin attacking hostile links. Tripoli's command center pushes airspace deconfliction to the F-35B overhead, while the destroyer trains her Mark 38 mounts outboard and warns the fast craft again. The F-35 pilot, seeing farther than anyone on the surface can, confirms the boats are armed. One has a mounted heavy machine gun. Another appears to be carrying rocket tubes under canvas. The helicopters cross Touska's stern. Fast rope, fast rope, fast rope. Marines pour down into the darkness, boots smashing metal container tops, ropes whipping away. The first stick secures the upper deck. And the second moves straight for the bridge access. At the same moment, the RHIBs slap against the hull and boarding ladders go up. Sea spray, diesel fumes, men hauling themselves onto a moving ship in body armor with night vision bouncing against helmets. Less than 7 minutes, that's all. The first shots come from the bridge wing, short panicked bursts, not disciplined, just enough to confirm hostile intent. The Marines answer with precision. One team drops prone behind a container row and pins the shooters with controlled fire while a breacher stack drives toward the starboard bridge door. A flashbang detonates inside the passageway with a flat metallic crack. Another team peels aft toward engineering access because controlling the bridge means nothing if someone below can still flood ballast, over-rev the engines, or set the ship on fire. Meanwhile, outside the hull, the outer battle is already accelerating. Rafael Peralta fires warning bursts from her forward Mark 38. Bright orange arcs rip across the water in front of the lead Iranian boats. They do not slow. Big mistake. The next burst is not a warning. It walks across the waterline of the closest craft at roughly 2,000 yards. White spray, metal fragments, engine dead. The boat yaws violently and vanishes into its own smoke. A second fast craft veers, tries to cut inside the destroyer's stern, and is caught by a second mount before it can close the gap. 2 disabled, 6 still coming. Could you tell friend from threat at 45 knots in darkness, lit only by muzzle flashes and radar cues? That is why crews drill until their hands move before conscious thought does. Training matters. Our discipline matters. And right now, it is buying seconds the boarding team desperately needs. On Touska's bridge, the fight turns brutal and intimate. The captain is on the deck, stunned. One supposed engineer is reaching for a pistol taped beneath a console. Another tries to smash a handset into the SATCOM panel, maybe to trigger a coded distress burst, maybe just to destroy evidence. He is tackled before he can hit send. The Marine team leader shouts over the roar of engines and the slap of rotor wash still echoing outside. Hands, hands, move! Clear left, clear right! Bridge secure? Not yet, because below them, in engineering, 2 hostile operatives are trying to execute the contingency plan. Scuttle valves, fuel line sabotage, fire in the machinery spaces. A cargo ship this size doesn't need to sink completely to create disaster. A crippled burning hull in a constrained shipping corridor would be enough. That's the fallback. If they can't deliver the cargo, they can still create spectacle. What they didn't account for is the second marine element already dropping through the aft access. One man covering, one man cutting, one man moving with a ship diagram memorized before launch. They hit the engine control room in under 90 seconds. One hostile goes down, reaching for a detonator clacker. Another surrenders when he sees 3 lasers settle on his chest. Emergency fuel shutoffs are engaged. Main engines begin to spool down. 4 minutes gone. Above the ship, the first drone dives lower, trying to acquire the scene. It never gets the chance. Tripoli's C-ram kicks awake, tracks, spits, and the sky flashes white. Fragments rain into the sea. Then the second drone loses link under electronic attack, wobbles, then drops harmlessly wide of the formation. One air threat erased by missile, one by information dominance. On the surface, the remaining Iranian fast boats split into 2 groups. Classic tactic. One feints wide to pull the destroyer's guns. The other drives straight toward Touska's port quarter, trying to reach small arms range of the boarding ladders. But this is not a single ship reacting blind. It is a layered screen. An MH-60S banks hard, door gunners opening up in disciplined bursts ahead of the lead boats. Behind them, an AH-1Z Viper that launched moments earlier from Tripoli rolls in low and unleashes guided rockets into the waterline of the nearest attacker. The explosion punches a column of spray into the night. Another craft turns away immediately. And predator-prey logic works only until the prey turns out to be bait. 3 fast craft break off. 1 is burning, 2 more are dead in the water. The last pair keeps coming. Now shift perspective for a second. From the Iranian side, this is the moment the plan collapses. The disguised ship is no longer moving. The bridge is compromised. The drones are gone. The fast boats meant to intimidate are being carved apart before they can even mass. What was supposed to be a deniable transit is becoming a precision failure in full view of every sensor in the region. 6 minutes. On Touska, the Marines hit the cargo hold access points identified by overhead imagery. Cutting torches throw bright blue light into the dark. Locking bars fall. The first container door opens. Inside, not agricultural pumps, not machine tooling, shock-mounted crates. Guidance assemblies. Seeker heads packed in foam. Composite wings for loitering munitions. Military cargo exactly where the intelligence picture said it would be. One Marine calls it in with the calm voice of somebody standing in the center of an international incident trying very hard to sound like he's inventorying office furniture. Positive contraband. Repeat, positive contraband. That transmission changes the legal and strategic landscape instantly. At 0325, 6 minutes and 43 seconds after the first launch from Tripoli, the signal every commander wanted finally comes across the net. Bridge secure, engineering secure, main engines stopped, ship under control, 7-minute window met. Barely. But the night is not over, not even close, because confirmation of illicit cargo does not calm Tehran's local commanders. It enrages them. Coastal search radars near Jask begin emitting. A fire control track snaps briefly onto Rafael Peralta, then onto Tripoli. Signals intelligence flags missile battery activation. This is no longer just a boarding. It is the opening move of a wider confrontation in the most strategically sensitive waterway on Earth. And here is where modern doctrine gets ruthless. The Americans do not wait to absorb the next punch if they can legally and operationally break the chain before it swings. The request goes up fast through the stack. Hostile maritime threat network activating, U.S. ship and track, contraband confirmed, boarding force exposed. Permission requested for immediate suppression of imminent launch capability. Authorization comes back in minutes. Not for a war of slogans, not for blind escalation. For a surgical strike to eliminate the systems that can still threaten the force and the shipping corridor, the counterattack begins. From Rafael Peralta and a U.S. submarine already positioned deeper in the Arabian Sea, 18 Tomahawk missiles rise and turn north in a coordinated stream, sea skimming first, then climbing on programmed routes toward 3 coastal radar sites, 2 command trailers, 1 drone relay node, and a hardened warehouse complex believed to support maritime proxy transfers. At the same time, 4 F-35Bs from Tripoli push inland at high subsonic speed, carrying small diameter bombs, each aircraft networked to the same target picture. From Al Dhafra, 2 F-15Es that were already airborne on regional overwatch are redirected to sanitize the outer battle space and hold additional targets at risk. This is system integration at its sharpest. Sea, air, space, signals, all stacked into one compressed decision cycle. Iran's answer is immediate, but desperate. 2 coastal anti-ship missiles launch within 90 seconds of the first Tomahawk wave, their boosters visible even from the sea as brief orange stabs against the shoreline. On Rafael Peralta, the Aegis display blooms with track data. The destroyer does what it was built to do. First interceptor away, then another. An SM-2 climbs hard and kills the leading missile at long range. The second attacker slips lower, forcing a closer shot. ESSM launches from the destroyer's cells and rips it apart over black water before it can threaten the formation. Final effect, 2 launched, 2 destroyed, 0 hits. Back over the coast, the U.S. Counter-strike lands like a lesson delivered in steel and timing. One radar site disappears in a flash, and then secondary explosions. The command trailer at a nearby coastal compound is simply gone, replaced by burning fragments. F-35s ripple bombs into mobile launch vehicles concealed under netting, their sensors cutting through deception that would have fooled older systems. A drone relay mast folds in on itself. Boat pens that were supposed to shelter the next wave of fast attack craft erupt into a chain of fires that can be seen from the boarding decks of Touska. Not a prolonged battle, not an exchange of equals, a calculated erasure of the immediate threat network. And still, the Americans stay disciplined. No random deep strike campaign, no flattening of cities, no television fantasy. Just target sets tied directly to the attempted interference. Maritime radar, launchers, relay nodes, boat pens, logistics storage, capability denial, future attack prevention. The kind of response designed to say one thing in perfectly clear military language: you can challenge this force, but you will not outcycle it. By 0337, the tactical picture is finally turning. The surviving fast boats are retreating north at maximum speed. Iranian coastal emitters are winking out one by one. The air picture is clean. Fires are contained aboard Touska. The crew has been separated, searched, and restrained. 11 appear to be legitimate mariners. 14 are not. Among the detainees are 2 communications specialists, 1 weapons custodian, and 1 man carrying coded authentication cards that tie the shipment directly to a covert transfer network. Now, imagine you're a 23-year-old Marine standing on a seized cargo ship in the pre-dawn dark, breathing hard, hearing distant explosions on shore, looking down at missile parts stacked where tractor components were supposed to be. 7 minutes earlier, you were dangling on a rope over open sea. Now you are holding the bridge of a foreign vessel at the mouth of one of the most important choke points in the world. That is how fast maritime crises move now. That is how unforgiving timing has become. At 0400, just 42 minutes after the first alarm crystallized into action, the operation is effectively over. Final tally in this fictional scenario: 1 Iranian cargo ship seized, 42 Marines inserted, 114 hostile operatives detained, 11 crew secured and medically checked, 2 U.S. personnel wounded, none killed, 8 fast attack craft committed, 5 disabled or destroyed, 3 driven off, 2 drones neutralized, 2 coastal anti-ship missiles launched, both intercepted, 18 Tomahawks, and multiple precision-guided air-delivered weapons used to dismantle the immediate coastal threat network. Strategic cargo recovered before it could vanish into the region. And the most important number of all? 7. 7 minutes from go order to control of bridge and engineering. 7 minutes separating a clean seizure from a burning freighter inside crowded sea lanes. 7 minutes between a covert shipment and an international maritime crisis, far worse than the one that actually unfolded. That is the lesson here. Modern naval warfare is not only about who has the biggest ship or the loudest missile launch. It is about who sees first, fuses faster, decides cleaner, and executes under pressure without losing control. Information dominance finds the ship. Training gets men onto steel. Layered defense keeps them alive. Precision response prevents the second wave. That is the real story, not chaos, compression. So, which decision was most critical? Launching the boarding force immediately, holding fire until positive hostile intent, or authorizing the coastal strikes the moment those radars lit up? Debate below. Hit subscribe for in-depth military breakdowns.